Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Lisa Fernandez, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
we're about to review Bardwell Caper. Both parts of it. It is the only two-parter in season 6. It's not the last two-parter we're going to review. There's more in season 8, but it was directed by Tom Trbojevic, whose name I hope I am pronouncing correctly. And it's written by Anthony DeMarco and David Ketchum. Chris probably has facts about them coming up.
Quite a bit, yes. Oh, yeah. Looking forward to getting in that.
Tom's going to be directing a lot of episodes of the show coming up. I think he directs most of season 7.
This is the first of 36 episodes with my in parentheses in a row for all the Clerks fans out there.
Yeah, he's going to direct most of season 7, and he's going to be a very familiar face to us coming up. Here's what the episode's about. When Laverne learns that she and Shirley are the only two gift wrappers in recent memory not to receive a raise after working at Bardwells for 3 months, Laverne goes into a total rage. Shirley decides to send the man a gently worded missive, hinting that they'd like a raise, but Laverne erases what she wrote and scribbles down a nasty message before Shirley can send it away. Mr. Hildebrand calls him into his office immediately afterwards. Shirley thinks they're going to be fired, but instead they get their raise, one much bigger than what they were expecting. It turns out that he hasn't read the note, which means the girls are now on a mission to retrieve the missive. Laverne, inspired by Mission Impossible, convinces Squiggy, Lenny, and Carmine to join them in getting the note back. But the road to sneakiness is not smoothly paved. It's just because they're trying to avoid triggering Hildebrand's state-of-the-art alarm system. So what do y'all think of this one? Huh?
So, I think the structure of this was fantastic. And anyone thinking, no, it's talking about the structure, it's because it cliffhangers perfectly on the first part of this. It has that wonderful zing of like realizing, oh no, what's about to happen. And then the following episode is basically the entirety, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is going to be, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm going to have almost some difficulty talking about it because the first part is very clearly, it does everything you expect from a heist episode, from a caper episode. Yes. The second part, equally very good. It's different because the reveal at the end of part 1 is that this has all been imagined. What we think we're seeing is actually the plan being explained. It's a great trick that a lot of heist movies and the like have done. Actually, there's a fantastic South Korean World War II movie that was done recently called Assassination, which does the same thing perfectly well.
Yeah.
Then the second half, does this, but it's different because it's all the physical comedy, basically. It's, the dialogue is still funny and still cute, but it's more about the physicality. So it's harder to get into from a discussion point. So I'm kind of curious how we're going to cover this one for the podcast. But that being said, initial thoughts, lots of love. Great to see Mr. Hildebrand back. Yeah. Miss Peters, his secretary, is fantastic. Now, this is the first of 2 either anachronistic references we're going to get, or is a confirmation we've actually jumped into 1966 by this point.
Because of Mission Impossible?
Correct. And Star Trek gets referenced in the next episode.
Yes. Yeah, Star Trek becomes much, much more closely integrated into the show's the landscape by season 8. By then, it is going to be 1967. But yeah, this is interesting because they constantly talk about Star Trek here, and it's still 1965 according to all the banners. The opening of the banner. The opening credits with the banner in it. It's still 1965, so we've kind of messed up our references here. I think the writers jumped ahead ever so slightly.
Yeah, because I'm assuming there's no other New Year's Eve episode coming up that's going to make the jump from 66 to 67 or something.
Nope. The years pass. Every season, at the opening of the season, we get a fresh banner and a fresh New Year's Eve party.
Interesting.
That's how they pass by. Yep.
Ah.
Yep. That's how you know we're in a different decade, a different year, a different era, a different decade. And that's the only way you find out, except for the cultural references, which are spotty at best.
Yeah.
Sadly, sad but true.
It's how it goes. Now, that being said, I mean, this was one of those. This is a great kind of sequel, in a sense, to the Murder on the Moose Jaw Express, where now we have a caper versus the murder mystery from the previous season.
Yes.
So, I mean, I have seen a ton of heist movies. I've seen a ton of caper movies. You and I have talked about some of them, but I'm kind of curious, like, what this reminded you of for caper and heist films and the influence you saw in this movie.
Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
in this episode, I should say.
Is it weird to say that this honestly reminded me of the Great Muppet Caper, and the way they steal the diamonds?
Mm-hmm.
And they all team up and they plot it out. They plot it out with a map at the boarding house, and they try to go in and they try to get the diamonds, and then everything goes awry. That's honestly what it reminded me of. It really did. But there have been millions of different caper and heist movies that really did compare very well to it. Honestly, how the heck did Penny and Cindy manage to do all this incredibly physically demanding physical comedy every week? Sometimes it's beyond me.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so strong. Super strong. There are several blooper reels we could see where they almost injured themselves trying to do the scene. But the fact that they made it through it once at all is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
And I wonder to what extent this was an episode that had more prep time to it, because even just the set construction, the camera rigging, like the blocking rehearsals and things like that, this looks like they spent more time on set prepping this one from the choreography perspective and the kind of the management of the technical direction and things like that. Because even like just the stuff in the vents where they have to like time them going back and forth and looping around each other and stuff like that. I mean, those are all complicated pieces of blocking that, because you're trying to kind of nail it in a day, basically, and that's probably not the only scene they're shooting for the day. That's tough stuff. So I'm curious, how much more they had to prep. But yeah, Muppet Caper is a great one to bring up, because that definitely has got that similar comedic feel, and the boys would have worked brilliantly as Muppets.
Oh yeah. God, I'm still sad that Michael and David never made it on the Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Michael does make it on some version of the Muppet Show. The Disney does.
Yeah.
My lips, God's ears. He would be so great. He would be absolutely fabulous. To me, like it's wonderfully cartoony, this episode. It's fun. It's lighthearted. The stakes are real, but not too real. I mean, the girls lose their jobs. It's okay. They can always go back and wait tables for Frank for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you really root for them not to have to be humiliated.
And further, you're also reading. I mean, this is breaking and entering. This is.
It's serious.
This is a serious crime.
It's serious. Yeah, they could go to prison.
And so this is why, again, this reminds more of, as you're saying, like the cartoonish elements of something like Moose Jaw, where Moose Jaw's got a murderer on the loose, and they're potentially going to get, and technically, one of them almost dies, getting thrown out the train. So
the stakes in Moose Jaw are as serious as a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
We almost think that the girls die twice in that episode,
mm-hmm.
and the boys almost die. A lot of people almost die. Here it's a little lighter, but it's nonetheless really, really, really well done to the point where you really want them to get that letter. You want them to get out of there scot-free.
Exactly. Which,
in the end, of course, Shirley's honesty ends up winning the day.
Exactly. And that's the thing about reminding of those caper and heist films, because in the 60s and 70s, for those that are kind of less familiar, we do have some younger fans that are little baby fans for Laverne and Shirley. When you go into the 70s heist movies, there are a bajillion of them. I mean, there are, and there are varying degrees of light and dark tones. There are ones that are like really bleak, like the Anderson tapes. There are ones that are really light, like the Hot Rock. I mean, the Hot Rock is hysterical, because it's like every heist they do keeps screwing up. And it's which is a great movie, by the way, and anyone who hasn't seen it, highly recommend that. What I liked here is that there is as that element of the stakes where, because in the darker heist movies, you're kind of rooting for the bad guys to lose. It's like in Kubrick's The Killing, or Anderson Tapes is kind of an example, but not as much. Yes. But here, this is more like The Italian Job, where they're these lovable, affable, wacky characters, and you're like, yes, they're breaking the law, but I want to see them win. Yeah, and
I don't care. I want them to win.
Exactly. And they don't hurt anybody. That's the other thing, is that I think the good lighthearted caper heist movies are where no one gets hurt. Which is why the Jason Statham movie, The Bank Job, sucks, because it has a sudden violent murder in the middle that completely kills the tone of it.
That just makes me think of Running Time, Bruce Campbell, which is really good, even though these characters are total screw-ups that basically screw themselves, and Bruce's character screws himself, gets himself shot, loses all the money, gets somebody killed, but at least he leaves with the girl.
Exactly.
He reunites with the girl, and he leaves with the girl.
Yeah,
so
and it worked, and it's a case of and then he gets to ride off in the sunset happily ever after. It's a total fantasy, but it's delightful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I repeat for the millionth time, what Josh Becker needs to do is more romantic movies. He's so good at
Mm-hmm.
romance.
Mm-hmm.
All of the romantic elements in every single one of his movies work like gangbusters. That's what he should
Agreed.
be doing.
Agreed. Um, so to that end, talking about like the scope of like the heist and caper stuff, I was really surprised at how, as mentioned, we've talked about how elaborate it was. The amount of coverage, it feels the exterior shooting, like just the whole sneaking into the place, the grappling hook, the fire escape, the stuff on the roof, which I'm wondering if that is just one of the buildings at the Paramount lot, to be honest. It's just one of the production offices.
I think it probably is. I think they have to be. That looks realistic enough, where it looks like we're in some kind of boiler room somewhere, some kind of area where we're in a janitorial section where it looks like they could reasonably be crawling through these pipes, crawling through these vents. I know the vent part is obviously like created for television, obviously fake, obviously all stuff, all set stuff. I know that much. But yeah, that part of the set absolutely looks realistic, and considering the fact that the show, didn't really get sets that elaborate unless they went on location most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even the location was literally going on the Paramount lot.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, right.
So I believe that your estimation is correct, and that probably is some kind of back room somewhere. That's somewhere on that lot.
And I'm also kind of curious as to how much of this also was the director, Tom. So I pronounce it personally as Turbovik,
Yeah.
but
Turbovik.
but it's we'll
Something Russian.
yeah, we'll at some point we'll figure it out. We'll get
Yes.
we'll get an answer to that. But
Yes.
he also okay, as a director, he had already done a ton of sitcom stuff by this time, but he also had a background kind of working as like an associate director and stuff on like TV movies, and which I think basically meant he was like an AD and a gopher and an editor on narrative TV movies in the late 60s and early 70s. And the interesting thing is, he stayed with sitcom directing in the 80s and then through the 90s, but he also worked on Dinosaurs and Muppets Tonight.
Oh my God! The Muppet connection continues.
And the
That's
thing is,
cool.
and so what I wonder is if, he is was able to add more of that, like kind of pushing for it. So my understanding about today, the way that narrative TV is done today, I do not know if sitcoms are run this way, but as in soundstage sitcoms like this. But I know that with these narrative shows, what you kind of do is when the scripts are getting broken down by the writers and the writers are starting to put those together, they start hiring directors around the point that scripts are starting to come in. And the directors kind of work as like an enclave with the showrunner to sort of design and build where it's going to go overall. And they sort of have like a lead director that kind of helps set the tone and kind of go from there. And often it's like this sort of collaborative element. And I'm wondering to what extent Tom coming into this group was able to kind of say like, you guys are doing Mission Impossible. Let's go all out. Like, we have to give people a good show. And was it him or was it even Gans and Rothman saying, we have to top last season?
Yeah. At this point, they knew they had to prove something. They had been moved back to that Tuesday slot. They had to basically work from scratch to get all their audience back, and it worked. Bounced them back in the top 20. Yeah, they went from number 40 to number 20, which is an improvement, a huge improvement.
Yep. Huge. Yep.
They actually finished the show, unless I'm mistaken, somewhere around 12th place, 14th place. That's not bad. Considering how the show petered out, that's not bad. But yeah. It was never going to regain the old popularity it had, but definitely they started to make strides to regain it. So I can see them going, let's pull the pin, let's go full out.
Yep.
We have to mention. Sorry, go on.
No, I think you're probably going to mention the same thing. Please go ahead.
The score.
Yes,
the
that was exactly
score. It's so good.
It's
the gentle tweaking of Mission Impossible theme.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully done, beautifully handled. Did you catch who did the orchestration?
So I don't know about the orchestration, the composers that are credited on this episode. And because that's often what happens is that the composer gets kind of this catch-all credit and they're kind of the head of the music department. But unfortunately, we don't have the further information as to who did orchestration for, the actual performance and everything like that. But it's Howard Pearl and Daniel Folliart. And they were actually sitcom alums who would go on to stay in the field. This wasn't like, someone bringing in somebody that had the more narrative TV experience. In fact, Howard Pearl was already on Laverne and Shirley from You Ought to Be in Pictures, which actually just went live today. Our podcast for that went live today,
Yes,
well,
it
after
did.
the day we're recording this. And he actually is going to continue with the show until its conclusion in '83.
Yes, he will.
And Daniel Folliart has his first go at music cues for the show here, and will actually be back. Will come back around like season 7 and then go all the way through season 8 as kind of like a support composer and doing other cues. So I think it's really impressive they did something this elaborate for this episode, because after this it was like Johnny Loves Chachi, later Happy Days, Roseanne, Home Improvement, ton of sitcoms.
Yes. That's cool. Have that nice that is a nice long run. Especially even with this show, I think in season 8 especially, we start getting a lot of like hippie motifs. Because we start moving more and more towards peace and love generation, start moving more and more towards protest era. And you can tell the way he gets to arrange a version of Aquarius.
Oh wow! Oh,
for Eddie Mecca.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is for the ending.
Yes, for the series finale, which they didn't know was the series finale at the time. We'll get to it. But he gets to arrange a version of Aquarius for Eddie Mecca, and Eddie Mecca knocks it out of the park.
Oh, that's awesome.
He belts it. It was one of probably top 20, one of his top, maybe I'm going to say top 15, one of the best performances he does on the show. And one of the best parts of that particular episode. But he just nails it, and the orchestration that he picks and the way he arranged the song really helped. So it's beautiful. That part of it is beautiful. The song is beautiful. He talented dude did great work.
Yep. Talented dude, do great work. Film at 11.
Talented man, work well. Do good things fast with great energy.
Yep. So, speaking of behind the scenes credits, though, do we want to also talk about the writers or the guest actors for today?
Sure, we do.
Okay.
Especially, let's talk a little bit, especially about the guy who played Mr. Hildebrand. He's going to pop up a few more times.
Yes, so we have one more appearance of him. So it's Norman Barthold as Mr. Hildebrand. He's still not a Manderville man, but it's still good to see Mr. Hildebrand in here.
Yes.
That is a shout out to all my Final Fantasy 14 friends out there. He has one more credited appearance coming up next season. I believe it's next season. It's the Out the Window episode, I think, is his last one. So this dude was an absolute total character actor of the 70s, and you can see in his performance. I mean, we love Mr. Hildebrand. His delivery is incredible. And he was movies, TV, all over the place. He got to play multiple different characters on Benson.
That's cool.
Like, he played like 4 or 5 different characters when you look up the credits. It's like, wow, that's awesome. They keep bringing him back for different parts. He was a regular on Mr. Belvedere, and as well as being in like Close Encounters and as one of the, I think he's like a toll booth guy. And then he is in The President in Capricorn 1, which I find awesome and hilarious. And Capricorn 1, it's a good late 70s mixture of 70s paranoia and cheesy sci-fi thriller of that era. Noteworthy for the fact that it has a scene where 2 helicopters are pursuing a guy, and then they stop and hover, and both the helicopters look at each other, turn to look at each other, and then turn back towards camera, and then go off in different directions.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That is neat. I want to see that now. I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Capricorn? Oh, dude, Capricorn 1's a blast. And the director, I'm pretty sure that's Peter Hyams who directed it, and he worked at NASA. He was a documentarian at NASA in the 60s.
That's cool. That is incredibly cool. I've never seen that out. We gotta watch that eventually. I love the way we fill in each other's like missing pieces, filmography-wise. I fill in all your cheesy 80s comedy missing pieces, and you fill in my action movie missing pieces.
That's true. That's right. Buddha's Palm. Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. That was really fun. And we're gonna watch Twins. We watched Adventures in Babysitting. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's a good time. Speaking of such variety, I do also want to mention, because we're talking to the actors, Mr. Hildebrand is great to see again. I love Miss Peters, the secretary. And I'm kind of curious, like, what you thought of her, because, this is kind of the sort of typical secretary role, but, like, I felt like, because it's Susan Barnes. We've seen her before. Yes. She's wonderful. What was your take on her for this episode?
I loved her performance. She had a lot of fun playing. You can tell she's one of those secretary characters that she seems, uptight, buttoned up, very competent, but then, okay, stripping time, wee. But she's doing this of her own agency. Or seems to be doing this of her own agency. So it's not as creepy as it could be. Her performance is terrific.
It is. Sadly, it is the last time Susan Barnes will appear on the show. It's at least one last one credited. She may show up in the background here or there. Because we saw her first in Shirley and Older Man as Adele, the villainous sister. And she did later pop up as the random woman that Squiggy assaults with a kiss in Duke of Squiggaman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, I wish she had more screen time, but she made it last. And she made an impression. So talking again about variety, what's great is, okay, so she was mostly like a sitcom bit player in the 70s, little bits movies here and there. She ends up in Repo Man, as we mentioned before. She has a walk-on bit in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. She's on the movie. She's an actress on the movie lot. She's the mom in Zombie High. And as I told you, Lisa, privately, I finally discovered her in John Carpenter's They Live as one of the resistance fighters.
Yes, I retweeted that onto our podcast Twitter. You can search that up because that's really. You did a tweet about it because you did a public tweet about it.
That's right. That's right. I did.
Yes,
I did.
Yes. I just want to make sure that I'm not exposing not private things. Not private things.
Oh no,
that's really
it's
cool.
fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It is cool.
Her performance is really good too. She is very good.
She is really good.
She's really good, especially in They Live. They Live is a great movie.
They Live is a great movie. Because that's the thing in Repo Man. We've talked about what role she plays. I'm curious if you're at the moment.
Yeah,
she's
pivotal.
She's pivotal. She is, for those who have seen Repo Man, she is the woman with the sunglasses. She's the agent, Agent Rogers, I think.
Yes.
That's trying to track down the car. So.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. She's freaking amazing.
So I want to mention two last things about her before we let this go, just because we're not going to see her again for the rest of this podcast. So she actually still got a lot of roles through the 90s, and if you look up, it's a mixture of some Hollywood movies and some schlock and all that. She has two different roles in both Speed movies.
That's cool. Okay. Well, what did she play?
Okay.
The two different parts, right?
She is in Speed as one of the executives in the elevator in the cold open.
Okay.
And I think I know which one too.
I can picture her in my head, so yeah.
And she plays a character named Constance in Speed 2. Now, I hate to say it, I actually have not seen Speed 2.
Don't torture yourself with it.
Yeah, my dad saw it at the theater. I misbehaved, and as a punishment, I didn't get to go see it at the theater when I was a kid. And my dad saw it, and he comes home and says, "Yeah, you didn't miss anything."
Yeah, your dad took a bullet for you. To be frank, he took a bullet for you. You don't need to watch it.
Oh, poor Jason Patrick. Oh my God.
No, poor Jason Patrick. His career just slowly down the toilet after that. Poor guy.
Oh yeah.
Sandra Bullock recovered. He didn't. It's sad because he had chops. He was good. He's
dude,
good in Lost
Rush.
Boys.
He's so good in Rush.
Yes, he's good in Rush. He's amazing in Rush. Rush, Lost Boys, amazing.
Yep.
Great work.
There's another film he did in the early 90s that I saw him in recently that I really liked him in, but I can't remember what it is. I will look it up.
Is it Flatliners? No, it's not Flatliners.
I don't think he's in. Is he in Flatliners?
He's not in Flatliners. I'm pretty sure he's not in Flatliners. No, I'm remembering something else, and I can't remember what I can't remember what that game is in. I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
we'll sell that off pod.
Yeah, we'll sell it off pod.
Yeah.
But anybody who thinks that Jason Patrick is a bad actor has not seen. There's so many good performances he's done, and Speed 2. Anyway, but at the very least, hey, had Susan Barnes. Susan Barnes, though, to finish off discussing her, her last role was in Beautiful Dreamer, a rather cheesy little but very sweet looking, looks like kind of a Lifetimes type movie from 2006. So that was the last work that she did.
That's sweet. That's nice. I have to look that up. Have a little marathon because Cindy did a Hallmark movie. Oh, the very last thing that she has, that's the very last part on IMDb, because we know she's doing stage work now. She's been doing a lot of stage work lately. The very last credit on her IMDb is for a Hallmark movie where she plays an angel who grants a woman's wish that her marriage be completely wiped off the face of the earth, and she figures out what her life would have been like had she not married this dude. And she's just sitting there smugly in a driveway where the woman finds a Ferrari going, "So are you enjoying your wish?" At one point.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's great. Go. She was really good. Laverne was so OTT in this episode, wasn't she?
Yes, out
she
the
just was
gate.
Not thinking.
Yeah, my first note is Laverne mad in all caps.
Yeah, Laverne mad. Mine is Laverne's temper is so in charge here. What the hell? That's my note. I left him the sincerely part, of course. Shirley knows that Laverne's temper is going to screw them over. She is in agony. Most of this episode, she's in agony. She lets Laverne plan this whole heist, too. Which is the amazing thing is, I am shocked that active Annie Shirley was not doing more of the driving here. Because Shirley's the one who plans. Shirley's the one with forethought. Shirley's the one who always is like sitting there going, I'm going to drive this. I'm going to drive this plot. Watch me drive this idea. Watch me drive this project. And instead, she lets Laverne do all the planning. She lets Laverne gather the team together. She lets her be the active person here, and they barely make it out by the skin of their teeth, but it also goes to shit. So.
Yep, in its own way. Yep.
In its own way, yeah.
Because, I mean, and it's interesting because, 2 episodes after this, we get to see Shirley back to being the narrative maker. So I don't know I don't know exactly what that was about. It could be because, this is from the 2 writers that did Malibu Mansion, that they wanted to give this element of Laverne being this bold, go take charge sort of thing. And Shirley is kind of either following along or is like, I'm going to tag along because this is secretly what I want to do, but I don't have the courage for it. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's very, very, very fascinating to me because I think that this is just how they happen to see Shirley. Because I'm surprised Cindy didn't fight to get more of Shirley being feisty and having more of an opinion here. She doesn't really.
Yeah, like at the very least, I could see Shirley being like, I'm going to make the map. I'm going to get the blueprints. I'm going to do, all this stuff. I'm going to be, there's all these elements of it. Like we mentioned, just last week about the element of Shirley not getting as much favors out of Carmine. And here, it's unclear whether Shirley was the one that went to Carmine to have him go buy the supplies in the ski mask.
Yeah, I could see her doing that. I could see her driving, at the very least driving Carmine to do that, because that would be very, very her and very him. And he would do it for her, as has been well established.
I wonder it's a good point to bring up, though. I'm curious about those things. It is interesting to see that difference in the way it's executed, that she doesn't... Yeah. I'm curious then, I guess curiouser and curiouser, as to what would Shirley have done differently for this heist if she'd been the one planning more of it?
I think she would have at least tried to go through the front door, done it practically, like more disguises. More disguises, more acting. She loves acting.
Oh yeah, okay. So like working with the like with the night guard or something.
Yeah. Hello, I am Fifi the French maid. I am here to clean Mr. Hildebrand's office. Can you help me with the alarm? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
Welcome to my horrible accents once again, people.
I love that accent. That is adorable, and I would give you a bunch of squeezes and kisses if I could for that.
Oh, thank you very much. But I could see her taking more of that kind of route versus Laverne going the very tomboy route. It's very Laverne to want to do take the most physical route possible. To climb the ladders, climb the ropes, climb the pipes, go down, hide in the sofa. Very her. 100% very her.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine Shirley. We're actually going to revisit Shirley's theater roots at the end of the season. She's going to go back to wanting her to be her artiste self. So we're going to revisit that in the very near future. So, but I can see that being her take on it, trying to do the less physical, take the less physical route, and do the more creative route.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, actually talk to Mr. Hildebrand face to face, or even blame Laverne for the whole thing. My roommate's a fool. She wasn't paying attention. She was writing that about somebody else. What kinds of things they could have done? Yeah. I love Frank and Edna's attempt at affording advice to the girls here.
Oh yeah, it's super.
That's really cute.
Every bit of Frank and Edna this season I have loved, pretty much.
Yes, yeah, they're great. Both of them are great in it. Edna gets some great moments to shine in the next couple episodes. Betty's just glimmering in this at the end of the season. She's so good. I wish they'd given Edna more to do, but their relationship is adorable and their counsel is incredible. And I absolutely love Frank going to Shirley, try to cover her. You'll find a job. I'm not too sure of. Thanks, Bob.
Oh gosh. And I do love Edna's line. It's like, I don't get fired, I get divorced.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that she brings it up in the next episode that she is not his employee.
Mm-hmm.
So bam, get him Edna, get him Edna.
Mm-hmm.
All that's fabulous. I love that Laverne is so influenced by media. Of course, that she's gonna take Mission Impossible as an influence here. I can almost picture her trying to plot out other ideas via her love of Sea Hunt or her love of Sky King.
Yes.
All
Yes.
kinds of stuff like that. All kinds of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can absolutely 100% picture that in my brain.
God, that's right. I actually just watched a movie from the director of Sky King the other day.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, Daughters of
That's
Satan.
really
That
cool.
guy directed like 14 episodes
no
of Sky King.
way. Oh, that's cool. And that's how small Hollywood it can be.
So when we get to then the visualization of the plan, I adore that it's like they're still playing Monopoly. I want to be the apple.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the onion anymore.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And plotting out the everything with tables, little Triscuit things, adorable.
Yep.
I know I'm actually sad that we don't get a full episode of this playing the Monopoly. I still want that. But yeah, that's adorable. Everything about the planning part of the episode is adorable. The boys in their tree costumes.
Oh my God, yeah.
You didn't notice until I pointed out that Lenny has an owl family.
Yeah, I saw the one owl. I didn't see the second one.
There's at least two more. Little tiny smaller owls. So those are baby owls.
Aw.
It's so cute. It's so cute. Take a closer look next time. You'll see that there's the one around, I think around his chest. There's two more. There's one around his head and I think one around his arm, his shoulder. So,
Yeah, the shoulder one I
cute.
saw. I didn't see the one on the head, and I didn't initially, and now I saw it on the second time. And
yeah.
You know what? I got the episode. I'm gonna cue this up. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, if you take a closer look, I think there's at least two. It's adorable. I love that we get a fake out version, though it kind of feels like padding that we get a fake out version of them doing it well. But it's still cute to see the way everything would have actually gone if they had done it correctly.
Right.
And the little sides from Lenny and Squiggy, I should hope to kiss a duck. Thank you.
Oh, those are great.
I love all that. All the stuntly nonsense, as I put it in my notes, but there's a lot of really great physical humor, a lot of really great physical stunts. God, Penny and Cindy were and are strong.
Yep. This is
so strong.
It's it's heavy stuff. And these are long takes. So most of the stuff you're seeing is them. And when it comes to the actual stuff in the office, that's them.
Yeah, you can see in the blooper reels that it's them. Because you see them messing up and falling off the pipe. This is why they got once again, they got award from the Stuntman's Council. That's why. Oops.
And I actually like that, it's weird. It's a bit drawn out, and the whole heist scene is kind of like it's as you're saying, it's padded a little bit, but that's also the style of the 60s. It is so fittingly accurate.
Yeah.
It's and I love that it just kind of keeps the authenticity to what it's referencing.
It's really neat. It's really neat. It's really cool. Oh, I love every little last bit of it. It's interesting to me that they decided to, plan it for an overnight. Well, I guess that's because of the immediacy. They need to get it immediately instead of playing it for a weekend. But that makes sense if you think, because they gotta get it immediately. They gotta get it out of the way. I love Laverne looking down on her map, jazzed off of coffee, high off of coffee as heck. She looks down and goes and tries to figure out where the heck her table went. Lonesome Pine put it on his sugar puffs.
That's good. And it's like that. Don't worry, we still have the. Let me see here. Lonesome Pine with the sugar pops, and it's like, don't panic. We still have its slip covers. He pulls up the banana peel.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And Lenny's got so much cereal in that tree.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can tell how
was he trying to feed the owls in his tree?
I can absolutely picture him doing that.
Oh.
I can picture him doing that. I can 100% picture him doing it. There's no way he wasn't trying to do that. My owls need to be fed. Can't let my owls starve, Squig. Oh, gosh.
And Shirley, it's like, Lenny, why are you feeding the owls in your tree? It's like, I thought you liked animals, Cheryl.
Yeah. Well, they're not real, dummy. Excuse me. I could see him getting really in high dudgeon over that. How can you call me a dummy? Dummies are made of wood. I'm not made of wood.
Oh God, we have to talk about the envelope.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So the whole bit of them explaining to the boys that they're trying to break in and destroy an envelope, and they totally go brokenhearted. Squiggy is freaking out. Lenny hides his face in his hands.
Yes.
And it's like, do you know where envelopes come from? Trees! Oh, God.
Trees. They're so scared of those poor dogs. And they seem like such friendly fellows, those dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it's so cute. Everything that the boys get to do is adorable. Even though they're clearly in amyl nitrate twin territory with this being popped in for the laugh. But everything they do is amazing, so who the heck cares? They're really great in this whole thing. A lot of what happens next is very much, physical comedy, and, it may be hard to describe podcast-wise.
Yeah, the whole, when we get into part two, like the,
yeah.
I mean, I do like their outfits are ridiculous.
Yes.
Laverne still has her very recognizable L on her,
yes.
and those are like their clothes that the
waitressing outfits.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I actually thought it was their old bowling uniforms, but I think those are waitressing outfits they had.
I think so.
I think it's in Pizza Bowl.
Yeah. But I love that there's like the watch is actually just an alarm clock roped to her wrist.
Yeah. At least they're not synchronizing by Carmine's wallet or watch, but one of which gets lost in the event, the wallet.
Mm-hmm.
I love how everything goes chaotically right and chaotically wrong.
Yes.
During the situation. I love that Mr. Hildebrand has a somewhat anachronistic disco ball stripper pole situation going on in his office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the smut button. Yes.
The smut button. Of course, Laverne finds the smut button effortlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also had to mention around this point is brutal commercial break is brutal. That they're getting really, it's taken forever for them to, it's like right at the realization that the chandelier is too far away, and it was like, I can imagine being a kid watching this and going, no, why do we have to have commercials now?
Yeah. I don't want to buy Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
Tony the Tiger is body shaming me with his giant unrealistic abs.
And his fluffy tail. Why can't my tail be that fluffy?
Well, you just put some Rogaine on your butt.
Somehow this child character turned into a furry, and I don't know how.
Oh my God.
I don't know how. Okay, let's get back to it.
Moving on.
Moving on. Hey, furries can be completely innocent. They don't have to always.
I know. I've mentioned before. I've known furries in my time.
Yes, exactly.
But anyway, so we get back after the break, and then the swing, the screamy, squealy Shirley, and I love Carmine's voiceover line that comes in. It's like, "Hurry up, you girls are gonna be late for work."
Sun's coming up. That's so obvious VA, such obvious VA work. So much overdubbing, overdubbing from Eddie. They must have realized they didn't have anything in the script to indicate an act break, and that ended up in there.
By the way that Laverne has to pretzel herself across the floor to dodge the electric eyes and then get up onto the chairs, do you feel like this is an accurate visual representation of how she tried to make things work with the bad boyfriends?
Yeah, and continues to try to make things work with bad boyfriends. That's her magic skill. Tragically, this is her magic skill. Poor Laverne. I love how the two of them will basically do anything to get this note back. They get the note back. They do it. Barely.
Mm-hmm.
Barely they make it. Even though they had to be sat on by Mr. Hildebrand.
I love Hildebrand's bit when he comes in, though, when as he's talking to, he's dictating a letter, I think, to Miss Peters, and sweaters with no neck opening are not irregular. They are useless. Yeah,
he's right. I mean, I feel like Bardwells gets a lot of bad merchandise between the sweaters and the very, very alcoholic chocolates they could have sold to children.
Yep. And not to mention, they sold their own gift wrapping paper that then could be gift wrapped in the same pattern.
Yep. And the barbed wire ribbon.
Oh, God, that's right. Yeah.
Go to Bardwells, get severely injured.
Yep.
That's the message of the year.
Oh, man. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's such a fantastic finale, though, of them getting the letter back, and then it's like, oh, we were jogging. Yes, jogging. And I like how ridiculous they look, and Hildebrand just kind of has gotten used to how wacky they are. It's just kind of like, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, these girls are chaotic. I'm sure this makes sense that they're jogging, even though jogging isn't a thing.
Yep.
In the 60s yet, it's not a popular thing yet. Won't be till the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to mention before, way back in part one, the boys bite their hands at the idea of seeing the girls switch outfits in the
Yeah.
truck. And I'm like, A, some things never change. I'm like, B, you've seen those girls less at this point. Both of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and C, the chances are pretty good that they've snuck a peek on them naked more than once.
Like, well, all I can think of is Lenny seeing Laverne in her slip in Steppin' Out.
Mm-hmm.
And his eyes absolutely magnetizing to her boobs from halfway across the room and just staring at them the whole way over until he's standing in front of her and she realizes what he's looking at.
See, this is why the Lenny Squiggy dynamic works, because Lenny,
Yeah.
it turns out, is a moth, and he was just attracted to her high beams.
Ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom. Moths and moth charmers. Can't separate them. Can't separate them.
But anyway, but yeah, so it's able to work out. I like the resolution to this. I'm glad that they went for letting them get away with it, because it's a relatively harmless thing. So even though, it's breaking and entering, if this was ever discovered, he's absolutely going. But the fact that they then accidentally get something on him with the smut button.
The fact that he's at the very least seeing his secretary in her underwear, at the very least. There's more, obviously, that they can't say there. But something's happening there.
Yeah.
And we don't know if he's married or not, but they have something on him now.
The way he discusses his mother, it was mother's idea. He
very early Principal Skinner.
It really is. It's like, no, mother, that's just the Northern Lights.
The stripper is just the Northern Lights.
It's like, Harvey, why do you have a disco ball in your anachronistic office? It's like, no, mother, that's just the Northern Lights.
Her bosoms are the Northern Lights?
Yes, it's a custom. When the Northern Lights happen, it's a pagan dance. I don't personally practice it, but I'm encouraging my secretary to go with the flow. And I do love poor Carmine getting stuck in the. You okay?
Yeah, it was funny. I'm laughing. Oh, that was good. That was funny.
Thank you. I love Carmine in the vents all morning, and he couldn't tell Lenny and Squiggy to go home.
Yeah. Carmine's just busy trying to peep in on women changing, apparently.
Some things never change with that man.
Nothing at all. And the boys just being so frantically excited and happy and going, we're going to tell all the trees for the shop. It's so cute.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's so cute.
And I love the reveal, the way they talk around. It's like, oh, they're just taking us to a costume party. And again, it's like Hildebrand's just kind of like, okay, that's okay. I mean,
it makes some kind of sense. So
it makes, it does make sense in an LA in the mid '60s kind of way.
Yeah, exactly. Very much exactly. I love that Shirley's trying to climb in those vents though to go after Carmine after he discloses that though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, get him, Cheryl. But yeah, it was so yeah, I mean, we've sort of discussed this at length. I mean, we'll have more episodes from DeMarco and Ketchum later, but But yeah, it's midway through their work as credited writers, but they were working on the staff for this show and a little bit on Happy Days and the like. And it's kind of cool, the fact that these guys, were working on sitcoms and then went off to work. They even did like Sledgehammer, which makes a lot of sense. And they even did an episode of MacGyver. That's cool.
I think multiple people from Laverne and Shirley actually got involved with MacGyver at some point.
Start seeing those
Somebody's
names.
down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, altogether, I don't have a heck of a lot more else I can even say about the episode, just because, I mean, I have a lot of other notes, but it's mostly just jotting down little, like, favorite lines, like, it's like, they should be leaving Hildebrand's office. Check.
Check.
Yeah, 6 minutes, 45 seconds.
Every single thing the boys say is gold in this episode.
Pretty much. Yep. I still love, and the dog returns. And that's my note. Dog returns. They shush and scare him off. And some other notes. And then dog returns.
I'm out of notes personally. I got all my stuff.
So one last thing to mention, because I found this on the IMDb trivia. I was trying to find more details about this episode, and the IMDb trivia pointed out something I didn't notice. When they're doing the actual for real this time heist, shout out to Jackie Brown fans, getting to the air shaft vent, the three of them have the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil format. So it's a nice little touch.
Yeah, that's nice. I actually didn't notice that. That's neat.
Yeah, I double checked and it's there. I just had to double check.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That is very neat. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, I think we're at ranking time.
I think we are. Go ahead and go first.
This is a solid 7.5 for me. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's a lot of this. Actually, I'm gonna go 7.9. It's not quite 8 level though. It's not quite 8 level. This is a 7.9. It is a lot of fun. It's a very funny. If you like your Laverne and Shirley laden with physical comedy, this is an episode for you. It's gonna be a stand-up for season 6 for you. Oh, funny, snappy dialogue, and it's fun watching the girls get to eat their cake after stealing it. So it's really enjoyable. No, it's all it is to do. Basically.
It is accurate and fantastically phrased, my love.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Yeah, I will give, I think, a 7.5. I think just kind of
Yeah.
keep it nice and flat. I wish I liked the episode more. I don't know what it is that kind of holds it back for me, because it's one of those things that when going through it multiple times, I kind of checked out in the second episode. Because it's just kind of like, because when we're doing these podcasts, like I'm trying to look for stuff could be talked about, that could be stimulating. And, I'm a set piece guy in the sense that I like set pieces that are elaborate when they're, simple, well executed, but relatively simple. There's not a lot there for me to talk about. It's not like I'm discussing the overt, mise en scene or the subtextual use of camera angles or what have you. It's a series of gags.
It's not an episode for that.
Yeah, it's a series of.
Yeah, it's not an episode for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a because that may seem like you're blowing smoke up in the air about something, but there have been episodes in the past that have had those elements where subtle touches in the directing, from the way a shot is framed, an insert, lighting changes, things like that, have added something extra to the material.
Definitely, there's art involved here. There's definitely art involved.
And it's like pretty much once they get in from the vents into the office, the heist is pretty much done from a visual and kind of creatively designed perspective, and which I think is fine, because this is an episode that it's a ton of fun to go through. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a fun one if it's not emotionally trenchant.
Precisely. So yeah, cool. That covers everything for today, yeah?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Okay, well, we'll have a quick word from our sponsors on the podcast episode of this version that's up on wherever podcasts can be heard. And then we'll be right back with our outro and find out what's next. All right, well, that's another one in the books. Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can find us on Twitter at Night After Night PC or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, WordPress, Patreon, Tumblr. I don't know. Maybe by the time this episode goes up, we'll have like a TikTok or something. Oh God, no, we're not doing. No, what am I saying? No, we're not doing that. I have to probably do that for work pretty soon. Ugh. Anyway, so Lisa, honey, we've been working really hard. I should take you someplace nice. Do you have an idea of where you'd like to go?
Someplace that's incredibly tropical and or incredibly snowy and or, apparently, if you're watching the next episode, expensive. Because in the next episode, the girls try to figure out if Odio for favors is a good idea when two well-to-do gentlemen ask them out on expensive dates and seem to want dessert afterwards. This is high-priced dates.
Well, my girlfriend's on the line. I'm going to talk about prices no more, because she's because she is worth every bit of effort and every bit of time spent with.
Well, thank you very much. And so are you.
Oh.
And we're both worth at least a nice steak dinner, at very minimum, without any extra expectations involved.
Certainly. And And you know, maybe we should, you know, go to a nice, you know, ritzy place with like a violinist or something.
Violinist will have to play Surfer Girl for us. That'd be
Yay,
nice.
that'd be cool.
Hey,
Yeah,
swanky.
Beach Boys. Swank.
Swanky.
Swank.
Swank. Bye, y'all, and don't forget, if you're stuck trying to retrieve a note from your boss, always spell your insults correctly.